Here, yeah. Hey everyone, I've been hearing that you have been doing some pretty amazing things in your organization with recognition, and Wendy and I have the privilege of being able to spend a little bit of time together talking about the Frog portal, how you can get the most out of it, how to keep recognition fresh, and for those of you who are newer to leadership, so many of us are, it gives you an opportunity to maybe feel a little bit more comfortable with it. The great news is, and I'm sure Wendy, you can attest to this, we have known how to recognize people since we were little, and yet somewhere along the line, what I found by speaking as a recognition expert for thousands of people around the world, that oftentimes the things that we've been practicing since we were really little, we don't value it as much. We think that the professional skills that are listed on our LinkedIn profile and people give us testimonials about are actually the things that are going to make us the most successful leaders and get us far in our careers. And what I know, Wendy, you would back me up on this, and to say is, it's actually the things that make you the most relatable, accessible person to your staff. And also when people feel valued. If there's one thing you take from our time together today, I'm going to walk you through the how to use the Frog portal. The bottom line is, it is a tool. You are the vehicle that is going to help your people feel valued, appreciated, and that they don't want to leave. The research, the data says that people are more likely to leave leaders than organizations. And that's just a fact. We hate that stat, don't we, Wendy? But that's the reality. And the great news is, people who recognize their folks, there's a huge statistically significant difference in satisfaction with leadership, trust in the organization, people's discretionary effort with continuous improvement, innovation. They're more engaged and less turnover. So you have a greater chance that you're going to keep your best people. And we know what a competitive industry you have. So this is essential. So that's why we're really excited, eh? Wendy, about to talk about recognition. I mean, that's a lot of benefits. That's a lot of business benefits. Yes, I love it. Thumbs up, thumbs up. Okay, so I'm going to share screens with you, and I'm going to walk you through using this tool. Let me just pull it out here and pull it up, make sure that I have got it handy on my end. Awesome. And then what Wendy has provided you or can provide you with, if you have lost your login or what have you, she can certainly provide that for you. And we're also a resource to you anytime. So what you're seeing here, this is just my main website, Greatness Magnified. If you go to login, it's going to ask you for that password that I told you. Now mine, you'll be very surprised, is my email address, and my password is not this long. I cannot remember things that are that long. It's just for whatever encrypted. So your login is your own login, and you can just ask the computer to remember you so that you don't have to always remember what your login is. You can also change your password anytime. So here you're in, you've logged in successfully, and you are in. The really cool thing about this, there's two things I really want to point out to you. One is that there's different resources based on what you're looking for. There's exercises that walk you step by step, whether it be starting a team meeting, to planning an offsite retreat, to even things that you do outside of work. I know that you have a strong social responsibility philosophy in your organization. So let's say you're volunteering, you are on a board, you coach your kids' sports team. You can use a lot of these exercises as well in those contexts. And when we go into that exercise section, I'm going to share with you how you can search for different types of things. Because what we know to be true, the more people are leveraging recognition in their personal lives, the more likely they're going to use it and feel comfortable in their professional lives, and vice versa. Believe me, your family and your community will thank you. Your workplace will thank you too. The other thing that we have is videos. So we're going to walk into each of these buckets soon just to get a sense of it. Remember, and I should have mentioned this to Wendy, we want to create videos that are relevant for you. And the videos that are in this system are unique to only people who are in the program. So let's say you need a video on how do I recognize people well on my first day, and I'm the head of training, and I want to be able to share this with new managers. Just send me an email, sarah@greatnessmagnified.com. we will commit to filming it for you and uploading it into this portal within 1 month. So give us a month lead time because as the requests come in, we need to know ahead of time just to book it into our schedule. But ask for what you want to need. This tool is designed for you. I know this stuff already. I don't need this tool. This tool is designed for you, and we want to make sure it continues to be relevant. The other thing is there's templates in here. And when we walk into that, you'll see there's a real variety. Same thing, if you need a template. So let's say you love a particular exercise and you have this suggestion of a modification, rather than you going to the work of creating a new template, we're happy to do that for you. That is what you're purchasing as part of the membership. You can, of course, create anything you want yourself. And why don't you let us do it for you? And then we'll put it up into the template resources. It saves you from doing the work, and it allows us to be able to serve the other customers that are using the system. And then finally, posters, which we're creating new ones all the time. Let's say you have a particular theme, or you're looking for a tool, let's say for, National Agriculture Day. And I didn't even know that was a thing. Tell us about it. We'll design a poster, put it in there, and then you can use it. So again, I really hope that you see that this is designed to serve you. And the more and the variety of industries we have, the more you'll see that there's a variety of types of things in there. We may have to start organizing things like posters under industry, and that's cool. We're totally happy to do that so that it's really user-friendly for you. So that's just kind of, Wendy, I want to just check in. Is there anything else you wanted me to say to folks to just do an overview of what sorts of resources are in this tool? Anything else? Any other questions you have?
No, you're right on point with what we were looking for.
Okay, awesome, awesome. All right, I'm going to do exercises last. Just because, stay hydrated, everybody. Just because there's the most in the resources under exercises. And the reason why that is because we find that HR, training, senior leaders, frontline staff, we have a huge range of people who are leveraging this portal, which means that we have a huge range of exercises. Completely virtual organizations to everybody is on site in one building to people around the world. So we've got such a range. I really want to dig into how do you search and find the resources that you're looking for. That's why we're going to do that last. All right, but let's just take a quick look at the videos. All of these videos you are welcome to share. You're welcome to build into programs that you have. And you'll notice, just based on the types of videos we have here, there's certain videos because certain industries started with us. For example, we have a lot of healthcare organizations. That's why we have a video on compassion fatigue. In other words, how people burn out by giving so much of themselves to others. Now, it's not just for healthcare people, though. If you have folks who are juggling being a mom or a dad with raising or caring for sick aging relatives at home, and they're working full time, and they're a brand new manager, they may be giving so much of themselves, they're burning out. That compassion fatigue video could be good for them. If you're trying to create a new leadership video and you want people to understand the importance of building recognition into leadership, there's videos on starting your recognition initiative that can fit for your own team, and it can be for your whole organization. Similarly, sharing leadership of recognition. In other words, how do you make sure as a leader, it's not just you who's doing the recognition? I give you tips in there. And again, leaders, HR folks, senior leaders, if you're looking for ways to encourage people to not feel like it's all on them, you may want to send a link to some of these videos internally to say, why don't you how we were having that conversation about how you feel like it's all on your shoulders to keep your best people? Well, why don't you check out this video, because I think you may find it's helpful. Using some of the recognition tools. I know Wendy, the organization, has invested in recognition tools. We go through a number of them there. For people who are using that, the wheel, the greatness wheel down there, how to use the wheel. It's a great instructional videos. Let's say you build it into a team meeting. Rather than you try to explain it, you're welcome to show that video. If you have a gossip issue happening in your organization, Wendy, has anybody ever gossiped in the organization?
Never.
Never happened yet. If that ever happens, you have a video, how we can turn negative gossip into resource gossip. In other words, speaking positively about people behind their back. That probably does happen in the organization.
That's a great video.
Yeah.
That's a great video.
Thank you. Thank you. It's Wendy approved. Awesome. Yes. And then finally, dealing with negativity and complaints. Again, probably never happens in the organization, negativity complaints. But if it ever happens, Wendy, there's another video. So you can see how my mention to all of you, please tell me what you are using, because I will produce customized content for this program. And on top of that, I have an entire database full on YouTube that is public content. So it's not specific to recognition always, this recognition portal. Therefore, I don't, let's say, point back to certain tools and resources. But if there's something that you need right away and it's not here, I do want to just mention that you can look under Sarah McVanel under YouTube, and you're welcome to use any of those videos for your own purposes as well. But just let me know what you want and need. People who ask for what they want and need get what they need. So Wendy, you feel free to pop me an email if there's a video or two that you'd like to recommend. All of these are professionally shot by a videographer with good lighting and good sound, so that you can feel confident that if you build it into your training, a retreat and so forth, it's good enough quality that it represents your brand well. All right. Templates. So these often, most of the templates in here go along with exercises, but you can use them yourself. I mean, some are just fun caricatures, like the outline of frogs. So if you're using the frog brand and you want to actually use the image of our frogs, we've included them. We've got some caricatures here. So that outline of the frog, there's various outlines. You can use those as, the adult coloring books phenomenon that we have right now. People who are facilitators listening to this, you can just have them on the table, and sometimes people concentrate better in your meetings if they doodle. So if the theme is recognition and frog, why not have them use an adult coloring page that is frog? So my mom just happens to be an artist, so she did lots of versions of my frog here. If you want, you can take these, turn them into a poster, you can download them, and you can have them printed onto your posters, materials. They're yours to use. The brand frog is trademarked. Only people who are in the virtual program have full access to using the frog and our trademarked frog however you want to. So it is there. That's part of why there's so many images there for that. Also, just things like there's screensavers. There's welcome to the team. I had actually a brand new staff member start yesterday, and I, of course, frogged her. What I did was I got a frog statue, and I put a Sharpie pen on it and a little tag that said, welcome to Greatness Magnified. I'm so excited that you're here. And let's remember your greatness for the next 90 days. Every single day, please use the Sharpie to write down one skill, talent, as something you learned that it recognizes your greatness. And I wrote a little card. You can do the same sort of things. When new people start, you can download this welcome to the team. You put their start date on there, their name, and then have people sign it. Even if there's 3 people in your department, have three people sign it. Wendy will definitely always be one of those people who sign it. But put that on their credenza or at their workstation or on their locker. Because believe me, virtually nobody is welcoming their staff on their first day. There's other fun templates and award, getting things done award, like the person who stayed late, got things done. Just, it's a fun way just to download it, put their name on there, and just appreciate people. The most valuable player award, the loyalty award, the high five award, happy birthday, the frog award, of course, people who are frogging other people, recognizing other people's greatness, department frogging. So what department has acknowledged you and makes you feel valued? A certificate of awesome, some very serious templates like that. But, again, if you want if you have a particular, let's say, theme, and you want a template, we'll design it for you. We have designers in our team at Greatness Magnified who can do that very easily for you. You don't have to spend any more money than you've already invested in the program. The recognition wheel template, the recognition checklist, all of these tools on here, you can download and you can share. For example, the recognition checklist, leaders, is amazing for people to ask them how they want to be recognized best. For example, you may have one person who's really shy that if you recognize them publicly, they would feel so embarrassed and wouldn't even hear one thing you said. Somebody else is, oh yeah, we can talk about me for a good 10 minutes and bring it on, bring it on. Everybody want their turn? Bring it on. It's good to know that before you recognize them. And so what I used to do when I had a large team is I would have everybody complete this checklist. And then I would know I could do averages. I'd know about half of my team like public and half don't, or most people like public. I'd know if they like team celebration over individual recognition, and little things like what's your favorite coffee or tea and how do you like it? So that if they, let's say they're staying late, working a late shift, you can bring them a coffee or a tea made exactly the way they want it. Believe me, the person who likes green tea with a bag on the side, half a creamer and 2 sweeteners, which is kind of a weird way to drink green tea, will feel so appreciated that A, you brought them a tea, and B, you made it exactly how they wanted. And they won't remember how you know. So they'll think that you've been paying such close attention to them in a non-creepy way. So, just tell them, I really appreciate how you've been staying late. You probably could use a little kick of caffeine. So here you go. That's the whole point of having that recognition checklist, is so that you know that. So I hope you're seeing by all these templates, it's designed to make it super quick and easy for you to leverage recognition in easy ways. You can just cruise around here, see, give this gift to somebody who is related to an exercise that is in the tool. So some of these won't make sense on their own, but it'll make sense once you find the exercise you want, and it'll mention under the exercises section, under the materials that you need, download it from the templates. So don't worry, we got your back. Some of these things are just fun and you'll want to just, try them, experiment with them, have fun with them. But yeah, so just cruise through there, see what you like. Any comments, questions, Wendy? Am I going too fast?
No, I was actually just going to ask you if there was a video explanation as to some of the templates, but you mentioned it's in exercises. So that's
yeah. So that's why we're going to do the exercises. Maybe I should have started with it first. Why the exercises is so helpful. It walks you step by step exactly how to do every one of those exercises, every one of those recognition strategies. It may only take 2 minutes. Some things have no prep. Other things take a lot of prep and it takes longer, but you can choose the one you want. And if there's a tool that's needed to be able to do it, it's included under the template section. Yeah. And then finally, posters for recognition days, for, just to be able to reinforce it, encourage people, like important facts about recognition, just to put it out there about the Frog brand, other fun things like resource gossip, the best kind of way to talk. If people are like, if you've got a gossip problem, why don't talk about, I'm a big believer in like calling out the elephant in the room. But just if people are gossiping and then people say resource gossip, wait a minute, I thought we weren't supposed to talk gossip. Be like, oh, didn't you know? There's a kind of good kind of gossip too. And it starts a conversation. So any of these things, love your people like you love cake. Pro carb over here, everybody. So it's designed to have fun. It's, you can put up different posters all the time. It's just keeping it front of mind for people. Some of these are also scoped to an image like an Instagram or a Facebook size. So if you want to reinforce to your outside facing world that you believe in recognizing your best people, use this for your social media too. I strongly encourage you to make this not just an internal messaging, it's an external thing too. We love our people like we love cake, and so share that with your customers. Your customers will want to work with you because you care about your customers, because they figure if you care about your people, then maybe you're going to care about me as a customer. So, I just want to mention that to you. For those of you who want to get some energy around recognition, keeping it fresh is something that every organization struggles with. Not necessarily in a bad way. Struggle is not always a bad thing. Why don't you issue a 30-day recognition challenge? And it doesn't have to be who's going to be the winner. You can ask people, what's at the end of 30 days, how will we know we're a success? How will we celebrate it? What would be the thing we would notice when this challenge has been successful? And if a group says we'll celebrate by pizza, great. If a group says that we'll celebrate because everybody's going to have a smile on their face, awesome. you know, you can kind of co-design it with your people, but why not issue a challenge? My gosh, I have gone to yoga challenges just because somebody issued a challenge, and I'll be like day 28 going, why the heck have I sweat in a yoga studio for 28 days? Well, I might as well keep going. So make it fun, gamify things. Similarly, something like this tool, I'm just going to click on it, see your gifts. You could just post this. And then you know how when you were looking for an apartment, some of you may never have done this before, and you rip off little tabs, little sheets, you know, I'm selling a desk, rip off the sheet and you phone somebody, you know, like, I don't know if you've ever done that. It was a big thing when I grew up in the 80s. Okay, I'm from the 80s. Now you know how old I am. But the point is, you print this off, and then you along each of the lines, you cut it. So every time you think of somebody who you've noticed a gift of theirs, you rip off a sheet, you write it down, and you give it to them. So one of the neat things about that is the poster reminds you about recognition, and then it's the act of recognition as well. And it costs about 3 cents to print this off on the computer, maybe 10 if you have a fancy inkjet printer. So it's just, you know, it's lots of different resources to keep it fresh, to keep it alive, to try different things, see what people like. And let's say you like that, but you're thinking, Sarah, pink? No, that is not going to work here. What color would you like it? What design? Would you like the frog on it? We will customize that sort of stuff for you. It's super fast and easy for us to do. So as you can see here, there's lots and lots of posters here. And we're happy to create more. It's actually really fun.
Is it okay if, you know, if one of those posters we wanted to like change it up on our careers page? So on our website, we have a careers page. Like, can we put some of those posters on there?
Love it.
Okay.
Love it, love it, love it. Yeah. This is part of you owning a membership to this. You have access to all of these tools for the duration of the time that you are part of this membership portal. You can use the frog however you want. You can make part of your onboarding and your marketing is that, hey, we frog people here. Bracket. You may seem that's kind of strange, and that would be for only biologists. But actually, FROG stands for Forever Recognize Others' Greatness. If you want to be a part of a team that recognizes people's greatness, you're in the right place. Unbracket. Okay, that's a long sentence. But the point is, you know, have fun with it. I love the fact, Wendy, that you're thinking in terms of bringing it into recruitment, because that's the whole point of recognition, is that it recruits the right people who want to be part of an organization that cares about people and that wants to be cared for. And that's a great way to filter too, if somebody's paid attention. Like if you're hiring a new leader and you want to make sure that they are going to value and retain, focus of their work is going to be retaining great people, because it's a highly competitive workforce out there. It's it's an employer's market as opposed to an employee's market as opposed to an employer's market, because there's just such a talent shortage. I think that's a great idea, Wendy, because you'll know if the leaders have something to say about that. You could build that in as an interview question. You know, as you saw there, we had a number of posters about frog. What do you think about frog? What do you think about recognizing people? Like, what's your philosophy of recognition? Ask that as a question. When was the time that you've recognized somebody went really well? What's the time when things didn't go so well? How do you retain your best people? You can ask all kinds of different questions related to that. It gives you a really good insight into how much people believe that valuing people is of primary importance. Yeah. All right. So now let's dive into the last section here, which is exercises. And what's really cool about this is it's a searchable database. So you could decide 5 minutes before a meeting starts that you need a tool. So, and you only have a couple minutes at the beginning of your meeting. So you look for brief. I don't know if you could see me checking this off. Let's say it's a small team, it's a meeting. But you want it to be like an energizer. The setting is meeting. You don't have any time to do prep work, and your target audience are staff. Submit. And we'll go through those in a sec just to show you just how. And then it gives you a list, so 96 options. So you will not have any shortage of things to do. Now, some of these things are tagged under multiple fields. So you know, every time you do a search, you don't see brand new stuff. So that's kind of a good, one of my things that my clients tell me is they actually prefer it that way, because then they can see, obviously this sort of thing seems like it would work in many contexts that I'm searching for. So you could print those off. If you're a completely green organization, I know you're a green organization, you could print those, and or you don't have to print them, you can save them to your computer. So let's say, so this paper bag exercise is in a nutshell, it's going to walk you through it, right? So why is this exercise great? The materials you're going to need. So this is one, it doesn't require any prep, but you would have to have the materials on hand. Not everything needs materials. And then it walks you through step by step what you do. And then there's also debriefing questions on there, so that if you want to, that's totally optional. Some people like to debrief, particularly facilitators, but you may not even have time or need to debrief it. And basically, bottom line is, if there was a paper bag exercise at a team meeting, you set up the paper bags before people join the room. Every time you hear something that somebody has said, whether it be a compliment, a great idea, you've noticed their strengths show up, write it on a card, put it in their bag. Or at the end of the meeting, before you leave, be noting it on a kudos card or on a little slip of paper. And before everybody leaves the meeting, put it in people's bags. Maybe you have the bags sitting on people's desks, and people put it in their bags after the meeting. You can just start it at the meeting and keep it going throughout the week. There's lots of different variations, and the exercises, a lot of these exercises have multiple variations to it. So it allows you to see all the different ways that you can use it. Here's another exercise called meeting openers. So this tool is one that you can use for, let's say there's A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. Sorry, I counted with my fingers. I'm a psychology grad. There's 9 different meeting openers here. So pick a meeting opener and start your meeting that way. And you just spend 2 minutes with that question being the beginning of your meeting opener. Who helped you yesterday? You ask that question, and that is the core question. That is really, and it walks you through, how to best set this up. And it gives you different versions of how you can use this in different ways. And then you can circle back to that at the end of the meeting and just say, is there anybody else you thought of that helped you yesterday that you realized over the course of our meeting that you want to acknowledge? Or who's going to help you tomorrow? Who do you guess will be somebody who will help you tomorrow? So it's another way, if you're thinking like, okay, because all of us leaders, we're so busy. We got so much on our plate. We don't have time to think, okay, I got to think of a really recognition-y type of question. Yes, that's a word, recognition-y. A recognition type of question. Just print this tool, and now you've got the beginning of the next 9 meetings. If you meet once a month, you now have the one tool that can help you for the next 9 months. So, different exercises will take a bit more time. Like this exercise has 9 different steps to it. You may decide, you know what, that's too many steps. I'm not going to do that. It is brief, but brief is 5 minutes or less. You may think, no, brief for me needs to be 1 minute. You just go through a few of them, see what you like, try a few of them, and just kind of see what you like. So then you can also, so let's say you have a totally different group. So Wendy, what's an example of how you might need or want to use recognition that's different from, let's say, a brief team meeting opener?
I think from the onboarding, we have a mentor program. So when someone gets onboarded in their training, they spend time with a mentor who, is outside of their normal duties. And I think that sometimes, it just becomes habit that you utilize mentors, but there's just that simple thank you, right? I think if that's answering your question.
Yeah. Okay. So would this would be something one-on-one that you're thinking of?
Yes.
This would be an example. So you want something, and it sounds like you want something really different, something with a bit of surprise factor. So it probably, I'm guessing, would be brief, something that's quick to do, obviously small group.
Yeah. Just like a frog charm even, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, you point out really good things. The simplest things are the things that are timeless. You can give them a frog charm and just say, hey, I have to frog you. And if somebody doesn't know what frog is, they will have a reaction. They will laugh or look at you like they need to call security. Don't worry. If you're in a mentor relationship, obviously you've developed trust, they will not call security. And then you just quickly say, you know, FROG stands for forever recognize others' greatness. And the greatness I have to recognize in you is, and that's reciprocal, both the mentee recognizing the mentor and vice versa. In fact, I think what you'll find is it's hard to not reciprocate. There's this theory in psychology, this rule of reciprocity. It's really hard to give something one way, and it makes the other person feel psychologically uncomfortable until they can reciprocate. So, it actually, this is part of why recognition builds and gains momentum, is because when you recognize somebody, people feel uncomfortable until they can recognize whether it's that person or somebody else. They need to be able to keep passing that on. So this is a key thing. So yeah, giving a frog, writing a card, a little kudos card, or it could be a thank you card. If you have a selfie picture taken together, nobody prints their pictures anymore. Print off your selfie picture. You know, it'll cost a whole 17 cents at your local grocery store, and then write a note on the back about them. The thing that's impressed me most about our time together is they will hold on to that forever. And people will wonder, how'd you get your hands on that photo? So I use actually a company called Send Out Cards, where those pictures can actually be produced into thank you cards. If you ever want to, you know, learn more about that, I'm happy to let you know about that company. But the point is, there's so many simple, easy ways to recognize somebody in that moment. Sometimes you have to think about it and plan it, like thinking to print out that picture, that selfie card. Other times when you've made it possible for people to have frog charms and thank you cards and things at your desk. If you don't have a stockpile of some recognition materials, or if you've used them all up, yay for you, that's so awesome. Talk to Wendy, because she wants you to have all the materials that you need. And believe me, I carry this stuff in my purse with me everywhere. I've got frog charms and little squishy frogs in my purse, in my briefcase, in my carry-on luggage, because there's always people that show up in my life completely unexpectedly that need to be recognized. And when you can frog your suppliers, your customers, people from other organizations, the courier guy or lady who comes and drops it and always has a smile, stop and frog them and go, wait, don't go anywhere. They will be shocked. And then just recognize them, make their day. In fact, Wendy, didn't you have an example that you had shared about somebody, and you were and it's like, wow, it was a small gesture, but it meant so much. What did you do? Can you remind me?
Oh, well, a team member had frogged another team member, and but she didn't know what really frog was all about. And I'm not going to say names, because just in case they don't want their names
Yeah.
mentioned, but she wasn't really familiar with what frogging was, and now she's part of the portal. But she mentioned that it put a smile on her face all day, and she went home and she shared it with her kids, and it was just something so very, very tiny, but it made such a big impression on her, and a big change in her day.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And that's, and how cool is it? Like when she goes home, you said it was a she,
Mm-hmm.
when she goes home and now her spouse and her kids get to feel proud for mom,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to sometimes what happens at the dinner table is, oh, you had to work late again. And, we've got to scramble to get dinner ready. What a lovely way for work to be a positive thing in the family, making things better, as opposed to sometimes we kind of can have I'm tired discourse about all the things that we're juggling in life. So I love that. And the other thing is it's the vicarious experience. So what we find is when people see others being recognized and it's genuine, authentic acknowledgement,
Mm-hmm.
people get the same endorphin hit in their brain by seeing somebody happy being recognized as the person being recognized, as well as the person recognizing. There's this ripple effect of that. And similarly, other people think, well, I wonder if I could do that too. So for those of you who are really comfortable with recognition, role modeling that for your colleagues who do it less or who are less comfortable, because we all have our different ways. I was speaking with somebody who was presenting to a senior team who people is their whole focus this year, 100%. And so when they brought me in as their speaker, they decided they're going to do a deep dive on recognition as one of their 4 people tenants for the year. Super cool. Was excited to be there. And there was a lot of people who are from engineering and project management background. And so they shared with me, this is not my own stereotype of them, they shared with me, I feel really uncomfortable being recognized. I feel like I'm just trying to do my job, and I definitely don't want to be pointed out. So I don't recognize people, but some people have told me that I feel like you're kind of like a robot, and you'll tell me if I've done a good job, but it doesn't feel like you mean it. And it's because they're so uncomfortable with receiving it. And so part of stretching your recognition muscles is recognizing in your own way that feels natural. So even if somebody's filled out on the form, if you choose to give out the forms that say, I like public recognition, but you're really not comfortable with that yet, just get really good at one-on-one stuff. Even if you're an uber introvert, even if being recognized in front of groups make you feel really awkward, I'm willing to bet you will feel okay with saying, Wendy, I just want to say you've obviously been a real leader in your organization by bringing this forward. Saying to people we're going to start frogging them sounds like you're kind of a weird concept, but way to go. You just believe that your people would be open to it, that you have the right organization, the right culture. And I want to acknowledge that you are making your workplace better by making recognition a focus. I know it in my heart, and I know that took some risk to choose to do it in this way. So I just value it. So, and I genuinely mean that, Wendy. And, so I guess I kind of defied my own rules about it being public. But anyway, the point is, acknowledge the person one-on-one. So if we were having a conversation one-on-one, Wendy, I probably could be comfortable enough saying that to you one-on-one, as opposed to, let's say, saying at a all staff meeting, all right, everybody, it's time to recognize Wendy. Because if you would feel embarrassed by that, you probably would feel uncomfortable delivering it. And when you feel awkward, it doesn't come off as authentic. Even though it's from a place of feeling awkward, people can perceive it as inauthentic. So if nothing else, do one-on-one recognition. And then as you feel more comfortable, and frankly, as people give you great feedback and you get great results, that will make you feel more comfortable in giving it to other people. So, and the more you use the same tools, if everybody's filling out those tools, and so everyone from the senior leader owner of the organization knows their direct reports recognition styles and is working that way, to middle management, to even, like, let's say the Joint Health and Safety Committee also doing it because they want to recognize people's safety efforts in the way they want to be recognized. It becomes part of how you do things around your organization as opposed to a program. Because that's what ultimately my best hope for you is, that this is the way we are around here. And that, believe me, people can feel it when they walk in your building. People will be able to feel it when they come into your department that is high recognition versus another department where people don't feel valued. It is in the air. It is good air. It is in the air. Trust me on this. Yeah.
And just to kind of build on what you said about it being in the department, the example that I shared with you,
Yes.
frogging was done between 2 people who don't work in the same department.
Beautiful.
So it was, that, cross-functional meetings and working together. And so, they felt they wanted to recognize this other person. So it wasn't even somebody who was on their own team. And I think that that's very important too, when you're being recognized from somebody that you don't necessarily work with every single day, but they notice that the time and energy and effort that you put in, and they value that. And it's not something you naturally think that they would pick up on. So it's key to recognize people outside of your team as well.
I love that you said that, and that when it's not expected and when it's surprising that it was noticed, it was surprising that the person took the time to do it. That's the exponential power of recognition. Exponential meaning you get even more latitude from your recognition efforts because it is surprising and still authentic. And so, definitely encourage you to do that. That's why keeping it fresh is also helpful. So, tie it to an organization that I work with recently decided to tie it as a theme to their National Week Day around celebrating this profession. It was within the healthcare group, so it was in Nurses Week, and they made it that focus. A different organization didn't do it for Nurses Week. They did it for Patient Safety Week, and they involved patients in frogging people. That was surprising because they had never had patients to recognize their staff, and then they did it in a really weird way. So people still have their handwritten frogs from patients that have long since left the hospital. This was 2 years ago. So, you know, any way that you can kind of keep it fresh, and then you won't do that exact same thing the next year. You know, keeping it up and keeping it different. Some departments choose to, you know, I work with a municipality in northern BC, and the organization started with frog, except the fire department. The fire department just didn't resonate with frog. So they came up with something different. They already had a mascot. Surprise, surprise, a Dalmatian. So they made it the Dalmatian's name. Dally, I think, is the name of the dog. And it was Dally's Award. So great, because Dally meant something to that department. So we're not forcing, you know, all these tools that we're sharing with you, whether you use frog and that terminology, I mean, that's up to you as an organization. I think really what we would probably agree on most, anyone who's a recognition expert, is just do it more often, because that's your results. Whatever shape or form is going to be a personal preference. It's going to be, you know, a branding thing. It's going to be a situational in the moment, or what you've planned based on kind of tagging it to some cool events and opportunities to acknowledge. So, you know, experiment with it, have fun with it. Nobody was harmed in the authentic acknowledgement of recognition. If once in a while, by the way, side note, if once in a while people get prickly, oh, well, it's nice that they always get recognized. Well, if you know for a fact that you recognize a lot of people, you can't let the haters get you down. You know, it is there, every initiative that you do, every change that you put in the world, there is somebody that's not going to like it. I'm sorry. It's just, I'm an organizational development practitioner. I've worked for 30 years in this field. You can have the best, most amazing initiatives and be shocked when people don't accept it and appreciate it. It is going to happen here too. Don't let that get you down. Remember all the people whose reactions, and that may be something to celebrate. For self-recognition, acknowledge, write down, post-it note, frog yourself. What are the things that you've been doing that has worked? Maybe at a leadership meeting, Wendy, if you guys aren't already doing this, have a really quick frog huddle. What have you been trying? What's worked? What reactions have you been getting? What tools have you been trying? It helps fuel that recognition focus. It helps you build off of the best of what each of you are doing. And frankly, it keeps it front and center. So, you know, strongly recommend you do that. And just experiment with these tools. You know, as you can see, there's all kinds of different ways to search for things. Bring it, you know, if you want something, how do I recognize my family? There's home there. If you are a coach, check off classroom. The more you practice things outside of work, the more you're going to bring it to work as well. And usually you just modify it in a few ways. And so try it with the kids that you're coaching on the hockey team, and see how you might be able to bring in the same success in your own team at work. So, yeah. So what do you think, Wendy? Is this kind of what will help folks?
Yes, I think so. I think that you're taking us through the website today will really benefit everybody further. I mean, I had originally met with a few people. We kind of went through it a little bit. This is expanding on that. So I think this is going to be another great resource. So thank you very much for walking everybody through that today. You shared a lot of information. And I know we're excited. I know when I met with the team earlier, when we first launched it, they were all excited to start recognizing people too, because they understand the value of it. So I'm excited to continue it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
My pleasure. My pleasure. And, you know, one thing that you can look at to really validate that you're making progress is a key metric or two before you have the program. And then at this point, as you're starting to ramp up, and then after you've made a really concerted, consistent effort. Because I love the testing, small tests of change as you go. Now it sounds like you're moving on to the next phase of it. Look at your turnover rates, look at your staff feedback rates, look at your customer satisfaction rates, and being able to mark that. So these are key anchor points in our recognition journey, and demonstrate how actually it's having business benefit. It helps it keep going. It also allows you to keep narrowing in. So a great example of how some of my customers have kept it going is we've seen such amazing progress and results in with our staff, we want to now make a concerted effort of recognition of our customers using some of these same strategies, and then they notice those metrics move too. So you're maybe already doing that. In that case, that's awesome. But knowing kind of those key points in your journey allows you to evaluate progress along the way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Woohoo! Awesome. Well, wishing you continued success, and reach out to me anytime. info@greatnessmagnified.com is my assistant, and she can also line up video filming, more tools, all of that stuff. If you have a question of me personally, Sarah@greatnessmagnified.com.
Okay, great. Well, thank you, Sarah.
My
I'm sure
pleasure.
we'll talk a little bit further after, but thank you for the video.
Absolutely.